Hello, this is the first video presentation in the series titled Criminality at Lloyds Bank PLC, which arose from the UK Civil Court action in the County Court Business Centre, which was initiated by myself, the sole director of Telematic Limited, a private limited UK company, against Lloyds Bank PLC, which is one of the three top retail banks in the UK. I am the plaintiff, who filed the claim as a money claim against Lloyds Bank PLC, both in my personal capacity and my capacity as the sole director of the company in December 2019. I've had to discontinue the claim after it became clear that this was a criminal matter outside the jurisdiction of Wrexham County Court, to which the claim had been transferred. In this series of video presentations, we examine evidence of criminality at Lloyds Bank PLC, which was uncovered by this ongoing court case. In this part one, we will look at a criminal scheme which was invented by an organized crime syndicate in the USA and which was used by former senior Lloyds Bank executives to steal money from their own customers. We have named this criminal scheme criminal asset stripping, technically, because it is based on a practice from the world of corporate finance called asset stripping. Now, technically, asset stripping is not illegal, but it is viewed negatively. So in the rest of this presentation, we will first explain the term asset stripping and illustrate it with practical examples before discussing criminal asset stripping. We then show that a phenomenon which is similar to criminal asset stripping occurs in nature. So what is asset stripping? Asset stripping is a term used to refer to the practice of selling off a company's assets in order to improve returns for equity investors. In many cases where the term is used, a financial investor, referred to as a corporate raider, takes control of another company and then auctions off the acquired company's assets. We will now look at how this term is defined in various sources. So this is the definition. This is how the Oxford English Dictionary, the online Oxford Dictionary, defines the term. Asset stripping is to sell off the assets of a company, one recently taken over, in order to make a profit without regard for the company's future. This is how the term in the Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, this is the definition that they give. Essentially, asset stripping is a term used to refer to the practice of selling off a company's assets in order to improve returns for equity investors. The benefits of asset stripping go to the corporate trader. But the term is viewed negatively because it often results in employees losing their jobs. And it also has a negative effect on the GDP on large. Now, this is another definition of asset stripping from the Oxford Dictionary of Accounting. This is the Kindle version. So here it defines it as the acquisition or takeover by a company whose shares are valued below their asset value and subsequent sale of the company's assets. The asset stripper, the entrepreneur, the corporate trader, can, after he's taken over the company, can either revitalize the management of the company, or in some cases close the company to realize this profit. Let's look at some examples. Particular example of asset stripping. Now, this is the balance sheet of Telematic Limited, my company. The balance sheet is taken from a recent submission, but the figures are hypothetical. We're looking at May 2019. What's important to see that there are current assets of the company, which are either the buildings, the equipment, and so on. Now, this is the profit and loss statement of Telematic Limited. Again, the numbers are hypothetical. They're taken from 31st of May 2019. And this one shows the staff costs, the salaries of the staff, in excess of 1 million. Now, so we need to try and put a value on this company, on Telematic Limited. We rely on a book by Teller, Lawrence W., of how to evaluate a small business. Now, according to Teller, the valuation of a small business is more of an art than a science, because there are various methods, and you need to understand the business in order to apply the right method. We have identified two methods of evaluation. The first one is the asset value method, which is simply the total assets minus the current liabilities. This is from the balance sheet, which we've seen. So according to this method, the value of Telematic Limited is 10 million USD. That's also called the book value, the liquidation value. Another method, the multiple of revenue method, evaluates the company based on turnover. The annual turnover is multiplied by a factor specific to the industry. 2 times revenue is a popular term, is a popular factor to use, so we've used this. And that gives us a turnover, a value of $5 million US. Now, averaging these two, taking the mean value of these two methods, we arrive at a mean value of 7,500,000 USD. Now, this is where the asset stripper comes in, or the corporate trader comes in. Telematic Limited has a value, has assets with a value of 10 million USD, but its market value is only 7,500,000. So, how does the asset stripper seizes the opportunity? Okay, well, first, the asset stripper borrows 7,500,000 for 12 months. Let's say at a 9% annual interest rate, which means that the annual payment in interest is 675,000 USD. Second, the asset stripper buys the company. And within 12 months, he's only got 12 months, he fires all the staff and he sells all the assets for $10 million. Now the asset stripper repays the 7,500,000 USD loan plus the 675,000 USD interest, and he makes a cool profit of 1,825,000 in 12 months, which is extremely good. Now, the previous example is oversimplified, and if done this way, will probably land the asset stripper in a UK jail because of all the UK laws that protect shareholders, employees, and all of the financial laws. So in practice, the asset stripper would have to employ an army of specialist attorneys and consultants to make sure that he does not fall foul of the UK Criminal Code. So that was asset stripping. Now, what is criminal asset stripping? We relied on a source, which is a research paper published in the Journal of Financial Crime by Frank J. Marine in April 2006. The author is with the Organized Crime and Racketeering section of the United States Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. Now, according to this research paper, the term criminal asset stripping was inspired by some of the criminal techniques used by organized crime syndicates in the USA, namely La Cosa Nostra, abbreviated LCN, or the American Mafia, over the past 50 years. What happens is that legitimate businesses in the USA, such as gaming, Las Vegas gaming, moving and storage, garments, waste hauling, etc., are targeted and invaded, then corrupted. This results in huge proceeds of crimes, which are not available through traditional criminal operations. This technique, interestingly, used by La Cosa Nostra, is similar to one found in nature, where the parasitic worm invades the amber snail, as illustrated in the in this slide. This slide is based on a source, an article with cartoons produced by Rob Blanc in July 2018 in order to illustrate the natural phenomena to 4-year-olds. And is showed here as a cartoon. What happens is that the snail, the amber snail, which is a shy, photophobic, lives under lives in the shadows on the underside of leaves. The amber snail feeds on bird droppings, which contain eggs of the parasitic worm. After the eggs of the parasite are digested and hatch, larvae make their way into the eye stalks of the snail and form long sacs. Initially, what happens is that the snail becomes a zombie snail. It's follows the will of the parasite. Now, this brings us to the end of the presentation. So, to summarize, criminal asset stripping is a criminal procedure invented by La Cosa Nostra. Cosa Nostra deployed criminal asset stripping over the last 50 years in the USA to invade and corrupt legitimate businesses. Criminal asset stripping is similar to how the parasitic worm invades the amber snail and enslaves it, turning it into a zombie snail. Now, this is the end of this presentation. In part two, we will examine how former senior executives of EdgeBoss, the predecessor to Lloyds Bank PLC, shown here in the picture, deployed the technique of criminal asset stripping against the bank's customer, their own customers,